Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of Die Party Blood Dews, which is a continuation of one of the earlier games that we had called Wrath of the Minotaur. You could call it the second season, I guess. It does contain the same characters for the most part. Yeah. So, I guess let me just introduce everyone. And because it has been a while since we've played, or at least played in an official way. We have Jacob, who will be playing Engolard, returning character.
Hey.
We have myself playing Walzer, which is also another returning character, and we have Wreckage, who will be playing, I guess, an NPC or a pickup character that was in the original end of the first season, which is Bopha. Once we actually get around to finding his character in the world, he will be playing his proper character. But
I'll be playing NPCs until then,
Yeah,
as
yeah.
is contextually important to the story.
Yep. And last but not least, we have Game Master Graham, who changed the rules on us all of a sudden.
Yeah, all of a sudden, a month ago.
Yeah. We've had a long time to play around with building characters, even though Engolard did it in the last 20 minutes. Yeah. So, Graham, why don't you explain what it is that we're playing today?
So the idea of the new kind of rule set is, it's additive as opposed to, it's additive more like 3.5 than the previous system was more like 2E.
Mm.
And additive in the fact that you're always trying to get high numbers, there's no low rolls, except for initiative are still low rolls for
Okay, so we have to roll low
certain
for
purposes.
initiative. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Essentially, attack rolls are no longer 3 rolls, it's only 1. So there's no damage rolls, there's no location rolls, it's just 1 roll. The location roll is something that I will roll to make it faster, easier, streamlined. But damage is actually factored into the attack bonuses you see on your screen if you're playing at home.
Yeah. That's the other thing that was worth pointing out. We've moved off the old style of Die Party streams, which is to have everyone on a webcam, and we've moved over to just myself on the webcam and everyone else over audio. It allows 2 things. First, we don't have to deal with Skype's bullshit anymore. Even though we're still using Skype, the fact that we don't use webcams means that we don't have to deal with that 4-hour limitation bullshit and, you know, the whole mess of problems that came with using the webcams. Because honestly, it's not a very reliable service when you use it as a webcam and stuff. But audio, it's fine. The second is that it allows us to bring in more players who aren't comfortable showing their beautiful faces on the stream. So it only made sense for us, really. So in its place, I have put information about the characters. So if you have any questions about, you know, stats or anything along those lines, you can generally find all that information on the screen. And I think it looked a lot nicer. But, continue as you were, Graham. Sorry.
Other than that, one of the things about skill checks I didn't really make clear to you, except to Jacob, was that for a skill check, a non-combat skill like, you know, engineering or monster lore or something, the DC is always going to be 20, and that means the success rates are the same as they were in the previous system, but it's just additive as opposed to.
So if you get a success, so if you manage to get your skill check higher than 20 at any point in the future, then it's automatic success.
Kind of, you can always fail on a critical one though.
Yeah, that's true. All right, fair enough.
But yeah, that's the idea.
Okay.
Like you have plus 20 in land-based riding or something.
I think I do. Yeah.
Whatever it was, yeah. But yeah, so you can still fail on a 1.
Let's see. What do I have in 20s? Yes, I have land riding 20, and I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah,
Also, I have a pretty high intimidate, almost to the point where it's almost perfect. But
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool.
Anywho, let's talk about a year has passed since the end of the last season of this show, and in that year, I need to know what Engelart and Walzer, and maybe we'll get a bit from Bopha too in the interim. But Jacob, what is Engelart has been doing some interesting things in and around Wyvern Falls, has he not?
Yes. As we kind of went over at the end of the last session, after we all got done helping to rebuild Wyvern Falls and attracting people there, Engelart actually decided to move in with him and his family decided to move into Wyvern Falls permanently. And in that time, basically, as his wife is a cleric, she basically for the new community, she basically became kind of like the spiritual hold for the area. So
is that like setting up a church or something like that?
Yeah, in a
yeah,
sense.
kind of. Yeah, basically for Riddell, God of Lightning. For all the newcomers there, that basically they all kind of flock around her. However, for some of the women and children that would have returned, how after we managed to
yes,
get them,
we got
get
all
them
of
out.
those to safety. Yeah.
Yep. Some of the ones who returned, they're now seem to be devout towards Samuel, goddess of agriculture.
I thought that
So
was.
there's a-
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. They actually that was their god before all this shit
Yes.
went down, right? So yeah.
Yes, but they weren't too pious. But now, for some reason, they are very pious, and it's causing some tension
Ooh,
between the new and the old.
you like it.
But also, for for Engelart specifically, he has become one of the leaders of the town as obviously basically one of the people who actually helped make sure that it didn't get entirely destroyed, and also as somebody who actually stuck by the town after we were done with the initial rebuilding,
Yeah.
and has in his time donated actually some of his own personal wealth to the town in addition to helping to rebuild as many homes as possible.
Are
He's
you
also-
like a mayor? Like, do you have a title?
There's not really specifically a leadership position, but him
It's-
and his and some of the other, he's probably up there. Mayor is
Yeah.
not a bad title to say that he has, but people would look to him for guidance, certainly.
Yes.
Okay, so is it sort of like how Old John was in the previous town?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So like not so much elder, but more just like someone who's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
A respected voice in the community.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so in that time, he's also, despite his inexperience with farming, he's also helped as best he could, and he has made great strides in getting better at farming, obviously, over the past year, with his own personal studies as well into it.
So does that mean you've given up, like, your sort of bookish life that you had previously?
No. What I should mean to say is that he did refocus some of his studying to be more practical for the moment.
Okay. Yeah.
Much into agriculture and such, and the use of plants and plant biology, but also
Agronomy, yeah.
yeah, agronomy. But also he's also been doing investigations into the ruins that we kind of cleared out entirely, so you actually get some in-depth knowledge instead of just at a glance, what can I see?
Done some surveys.
Yep. In addition, he has also become a much more, at least in comparison to before, a more pious man. As we all know, at the end, from his perspective, he got saved by two different gods.
That's true.
Okay.
Actually, that did happen. Yeah.
Rendell blessed his weapon to give him more fighting strength, while Eugenio healed his basically mortal wound and stopped him from dying a kind of inglamorous and terrible death.
So which one of those was your wife's god?
God of Lightning, Rendell.
Rendell.
Radel.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's very interesting. How does having two gods, like, are you devout to both? Like, how does that work?
He'd be more devout, most likely, to Rando, just based on his wife's alignment.
Okay.
However, that wouldn't mean he would probably also pay some respect to Eugenio for saving his life.
So you could say that you had like an epiphany sort of like
from a near-death
spiritual
experience.
epiphany or whatever.
Yes. While he's obviously still not the most pious man, he's definitely made strides to become much more I guess I should say engaged with with more of his spiritual side, I should say.
Interesting.
And and also refocus some more of his studies into the religious aspect.
Huh. Okay. Well, I seriously did not expect you to do all that sort of stuff. That's awesome.
I mean, it was an idea I had from pretty much the moment after his wounds almost completely healed, and I guess just the amusement of how he basically completely I don't know, that one ghoul got completely screwed by him right after he got healed.
Yeah.
Engelard, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. What's your position on Xander, the ranger? He still lives in the forest.
Yes.
Wait, is he a druid or a ranger? I thought he was a druid.
Yeah, I thought he was a druid.
Same thing.
Okay.
Fine.
Yeah.
Whatever. Doesn't matter. Xander.
I mean, yes, basically.
He's a ranger druid.
Yes.
Not important.
Multi-classing. His feelings might never have been as like obviously he still has heated feelings against him, since he still does see, and whether it's misguided or whatever, he still holds him somewhat responsible for the death of his friend. Yeah, Alistair. And so it's generally, though, he's not going to go out and hunt him down or anything, or even really just acknowledge him. He basically will just kind of ignore him if he ever even saw him again, which is unlikely.
So you would fall into the camp that Walzer fell into in terms of how he feels about him? Yes.
Remember at the end?
Yeah, I do remember. Yeah.
So yeah, his position is more or less of I just refuse to associate with him.
Yeah,
refuse to associate.
Do you ever encroach on his I don't know if he has bordered lands or anything like that. I assume that most of it would be his forest.
No, it's just basically he deals with the forest.
Okay.
For the most part, though, so there wouldn't be too much even meeting period. Mostly just when Engelard went to the rock.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to give a little more explanation about what happened in Wyvern Falls during that year before we get to Walzer. Boswell Thistleburrows basically gave or kind of set the word around that he would be willing to pay big bucks for anybody that would be willing to go to Wyvern Falls and help build the houses and redo the stuff. And so several of the soldiers who follow Forest Inc. and the Vegetable Men went there, and several men from just the other communities, Baysmore and Big Cove, kind of joined up as well. And they kind of, and so there's actually more of a community. There's actually a community there, and there's actually, getting towards the same amount of people there were originally in Wyvern Falls, about 80 or 90.
Has the town changed in what it does? Because previously it was literally just a farming community, right? Is it now an actual town? How does that work?
No, the idea is that they that land is very fertile, and so it provided most of the Vale's food, and that's what it needs to do, because all of the other land in the Vale either is too hilly, too rocky, or there's forest on it, and so
Now, if I remember correctly, just about all of the males died because they all decided to stay back and fight the Wyvern.
True.
And they all died when the Alexei came back.
Undead and
attacked. So what has happened regarding that? Because I assume that all the women and children who lived there previously now living there, but what happened to all the farmers and stuff?
Well, that's the thing. Those men that accepted the summons from Thistleburrows to go and help rebuild the town are essentially there to kind of do whatever it is that Engelard and some of the older women kind of decide they need to do, and that includes tilling the fields and building huts and for people to sleep in and all that sort of stuff. And so it's not much different than it was originally.
So was there any incentive for farmers to move over there? Say how if a town is built up around a electrical plant, the city would give like incentives for people to move in and work there? Like, is there anything like that
Right.
at the
That's
moment?
that money that I just said Boswell is giving people
Yeah,
money
the
to
amount.
move there.
Oh, okay, right, yeah, sure. All right, that makes sense.
Oh, also, I'd
Um,
just like to add one last thing for Engelard. He also in that time he actually managed to have another son.
Huh? How old are your children now?
One's dead,
Oh, yeah, okay. What?
and
Yeah. Do you have any others?
no, just this new one.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
and your
Uh,
your sister, was it right? You had
yes,
another family
sis.
member.
Yeah, she moved. She obviously went with us. I wouldn't leave her behind. So the new son is named Erasmo. Is named Erasmus. It'd be Erasmus, son of Engelard. He's only a couple of months old, obviously. So he was only conceived. He was only conceived not too long after the final move to Wyvern Falls.
Yeah.
But he's healthy. He's not being run over.
I assume that he'd have a pretty
Not
good
a lot of
life
cars
then.
in Whipper Falls.
Yeah.
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 Additionally, when that summons was kind of that incentives were given to go to Wyvern Falls, some dwarves also moved in. Do you have any thoughts on that? Some
Every
dwarves kind of they didn't want any money for it. They just wanted to do it to kind of help the area.
Perfect. All help is needed.
Okay.
Plus, I guess you have some sort of, knowledge of
Yep.
like the dwarves now that you've worked with Bopha and his
Yeah.
troop.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not.
Yeah,
so
I mean, I
bad.
was-
those dwarves are nice. They get a bit rowdy when they're, they're basically all men.
Yeah.
The dwarves.
Yeah.
But they basically come, work the fields, do the stonemason, any kind of stone you need work, they'll do that, that kind of stuff, and then they'll go back to where they live in the stronghold.
That's perfectly fine by me.
All right. Okay, and then Walzer. What happens to Walzer?
So at the end of the first season of Wrath, two things happened that affected Walzer quite significantly. The first was that his brother died, and the second was that his probably first real sort of adventuring friend, Alistair, also passed away. So that affected him quite harshly. So I don't feel like he would have stayed that long in
Right.
Wyvern Falls. I feel like he would have left to do his own thing. Maybe, go find himself again or like deal with his grief in some way.
Sure.
I don't. He didn't head home to Bit Cove.
Okay.
He basically left. And he basically left and sort of just adventured around. Before he did leave, though, at the end of Wrath, he did take the Eye of the Wyvern, the old Wyvern that he and the townsfolk and Alistair and all that killed, and he took it with him. He then, against probably his the better judgment of everything that he came up with so far, he did birth it. He exposed it to sunlight, and he then grew a connection with the Wyvern that came out of it. And now he and the Wyvern have basically just been adventuring around, just seeing the landscape. They haven't been making a name for themselves too much. They've just kind of been existing for the most part with each other. So he's kind of almost gone into hermit mode.
Yeah. I will tell you though that in the Vale, despite wherever you go, the Boswell and the people of Wyvern Falls, they do tell your story, and you have a bit of a name there.
Oh, okay, interesting. Yeah,
as a hero.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it's kind of far from his mind right now in terms of
Sure.
what's happened. So about a year's passed, and the Wyvern, whose name is Pike, by the way, they just he's grown to be a juvenile Wyvern. So he's not as big as the one that attacked the town previously. He's probably about the same size. Would you say about the same size as the one that was in the cage, or a bit bigger?
Yeah, cage is like small, like a horse. Yeah, small horse.
Yeah. So they've been traveling around together, far away from towns or anything like that. So there hasn't been a lot of. I'd imagine there hasn't been a lot of news of a man riding a wyvern doing great deeds or anything like that, because he hasn't. He's been mostly keeping to himself.
Sure.
And I guess after a year, he's sort of centered himself a little bit, and he's dealt with his grief that he's had, and he's willing to head back, and maybe his first stop would be to tell his parents about the fate of Oral.
Okay. It's very teary and
yeah, well,
heartfelt, familial moment.
Yeah, and
Your father berates you. He tells you,
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, well,
maybe no, not your father. Your mother, you never should have gone.
Yeah, well.
What happened? What did you do that for? But your father was just kind of taking it all in stride.
Yeah.
Par for the course.
Okay, interesting. I wouldn't have spent a lot of time there. It's more like just
Sure.
being a messenger. And then I would have, because it's kind of towns are a little stifling now, considering how long he's been, literally just out in the outback, or not the outback, but the wilderness. My Australian is showing. Yeah.
Cheeky cunt.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess at the end of the year, he probably would have wandered back to what's his name, the halfling, Thistleburrows. Yeah, he probably would have gone back to Thistleburrows.
For what particular reason?
Well, to see if he can give him something to do, something to give his life meaning again.
Okay. I will tell you that initially, obviously, the riding the Wyvern is particularly daunting and scary and odd.
Mm.
And originally, that relationship is kind of strained because of that fact.
Yep.
But eventually, they warm up to Pike, and he's a nice Wyvern.
Yeah, he doesn't. He's probably I thought about this. He's probably less of a beast than what a horse that hasn't been broken in would be. He's more docile than that.
He's particularly tame.
Yeah.
But the horses are obviously still skittish around it, and so it kind of has you keep it elsewhere.
Mm.
Tied to the well or something. Wherever.
Yeah, I don't think I'd ever tie him up.
So you're there. Will you perform orchard work?
Well, I think more smithing work than anything. If they need anything made, I've taken. Oh, let's see. What have I taken up in the year? I've forgotten what I've grabbed. So yeah, it's just sort of. I guess I could do smithing work. I could do just busy work like hand work or anything like that. And
have you pursued any studies anymore?
Not really. If anything, I've been learning more about living off the land than anything.
Sure. Interesting. Yeah. Getting that survival skill.
Yeah, getting that survival skill.
Interesting. Okay, good. So you're there.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a couple of weeks you're there. Okay.
Yeah. A couple of weeks.
And then Bopha, can we get a little bit from him?
Well, can you hear me, by the way?
Yep.
Yeah.
I was having some issues with my microphone. This is a little bit more difficult to discuss because I really don't know anything about the dwarves in your setting, but it would revolve mostly around that.
Well, I mean, you did have your, you brought that sword back to your house.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I've already discussed that with Graham since he helped restat Bopha for the next year. And the basic prompt that I gave Graham was that he's definitely going to go back to his house and use his feat, his amazing feat, to increase the standing of his house within the dwarven lands, and try and milk that as much as possible by turning himself into a self-proclaimed sort of champion against the undead, and that sort of profession title rather might bring more than just the feat itself, but if some other dwarven house is dealing with some undead, they call him in. That's the house.
He's a dwarven ghostbuster.
Well, that specifically doesn't happen, but yeah, things like that. I will say that the way the military structure works out, because military kind of cachet is based on achievement, that Bopha is now the head of a battalion, as opposed to a member of one.
All right.
How many men strong is a battalion of dwarves?
It's like the group that you encountered multiple times.
So does he have like 7 people following him or something like that?
Yeah, six or seven, kind of that size.
All right. Can you tell me about the politics? How's his house standing amongst other houses? Been affected by his feat?
The word definitely gets around, and the story is told multiple, if not hundreds of times. Among different lips to different people. And Bopha has made quite a name of himself, but dwarves are never ones to boast. So I mean, despite trying to milk it for all it's worth, I mean, you wouldn't do it openly.
Right. Okay. All right.
But dwarves definitely respect achievement, and stories of a person's house are kind of how a house has its worth and has its its rich history. Particularly during dwarven funerals, the story of the house is recited every time, and it takes multiple hours. And so having a grand story in there will raise a house's
Now, I don't want to sidetrack this too much. Is there sort of a court? Is there, if you're a member of a house and you're dealing with the politics of dwarven lands, does someone from your house represent your house on a political stage, like a kingly court of some kind?
There are so Lord Ragni is the 7th member of the council, and all of the other 6 chairs are the patriarchs of the 6 houses.
Okay.
So during disputes and when there's a tie, Lord Ragni is the 7th person acts as a tiebreaker. But yes, the oldest male dwarf of your house sits on that council.
Okay, and there are only that many families. So is that what you're saying?
The houses are multiple families. If that makes sense.
Okay.
The houses are families in dwarven families are called hearths. So there are multiple hearths per house, and there are multiple houses per stronghold.
So there are multiple, and the hearth, is that more closely related to, say, like bloodline?
Right.
So there are multiple bloodlines in a house, and there are only 6 houses with a 7th tiebreaker, dude?
Right.
Okay. And so I am of the house Norfolk, which is one of the 6. And gotcha. And so bloodline, that doesn't really, that isn't an entity which increases in political power ever. You only ever remain a member of the house, and it's always the oldest of any of one who sits on the council.
Right.
So, right, okay. All right. Well, then, so I imagine after doing the things that he did, the other thing that he did, he did it, and I said this at the end of the last session, would be that, he had to go find someone to tell him what had happened to the sword so that he comprehended it.
Yeah, sure.
And he succeeded at that as well. So I imagine having discovered the true nature of the sword and milked the feat for the sake of his house, he's he's leading that battalion, doing whatever his battalion is assigned to do.
Yep.
He may be getting the undead thing a little bit, let that go too much to his head. He may be attempting to shape the battalion as a battalion of undead slayers, sort of focus their skills in that direction to be prepared for another Wyvern Falls style event.
And what a campaign that would be, the Dwarven Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anywho.
Graham is furiously scribbling notes right now on a notepad.
Yeah, I feel like a one-shot's coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, I think that's probably
we might
the extent.
We might do that.
That actually does sound like a lot
further
of fun.
adventures of Bophar's battalion.
That's like the perfect filler game for like. Yeah. Do you know this is something that if we ever do a long-running campaign and I'm the GM, and do you know how in anime, especially like Dragon Ball Z, they have a movie that fits nowhere in the canon?
Yeah.
Like that is, I would tell stories like that every once in a while, just to take a break from the action, take a break from the pacing. You tell the same characters in the same setting, but it's non-canon and it happened, a little while ago.
Yeah, we might do something like that.
That'd be a lot of fun.
That would be a lot.
It's a good idea.
That's a total tangent, though.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about what's happening now.
Sure.
It's been about a year since then. It's been, 13 months or so. It's winter's coming again, or winter's here again.
Is it a very snowy region? Like,
not particularly. It's temperate. It just snowed randomly that time, just because.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, go on.
But it's actually the 12th day of the 11th month of the 400th year of Hieronymus Rex's reign, which is the current era. 12th day being particularly cool, kind of nondescript, not a lot of wind, sunny. Sun is shining. And we close in on Engelard, standing on the peak of a mountain overlooking Wyvern Falls, the town he lives in now, his town, as it were. He sees the sun rise on the horizon, bathes Wyvern Falls in purple light, the sound of the falls next to him berating his eardrums.
Ow.
Well, yeah.
Jesus, that's loud now. Why did I stand here for so long now?
I can't hear a thing.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, sound effects. However, you see Engelard while you're standing on the mountainside. You see a rider fast approaching the church building. Yeah, thank you. That's really helping.
Give it a rest, man.
Yeah. Okay. Good. He stops.
Okay.
What do you do? If anything?
Well, we don't usually get that. We don't usually get visitors too often. So, especially not one that seems to be riding so fast too here. So, I suppose it's my place to go and greet them. Find out why they're doing here.
Yep. Okay. Make your way down to the church building, kind of the central hub of, perhaps town meetings and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
The messenger is very short, human, about 5 foot nothing, kind of portly, dressed in stained traveling clothes, green shirt, leather greaves and boots. He's got a bushy mustache. He looks, middle-aged. He essentially, hands you a scroll and he says to you, Thistleburrows sent this for you. I assume you're Engelard? You're the tall one.
Fucking hell, I forgot about that.
I'm the tallest out of everyone.
The dwarf is taller than me. No.
Yes. Yes, that's me.
Got this for you. Seems urgent.
Alright, do you need anything?
I'd like to water the horse. We rode pretty hard to get here.
Alright. I just can get you some you and your horse some water then. Obviously, I'd probably lead him over to his horse.
Nearby stable.
Yeah. Yes, that's the word. Lead him towards the stable and get him some water while his horse would drink. Well, his horse would probably drink. Yeah.
Yep. Good. Okay. Says thank you much.
All right. And now I'm gonna Now I guess I'm gonna walk away a few feet and actually open and read this scroll I got. Haven't heard anything for this. Haven't heard anything for this scroll in a while.
The scroll is sealed with yellow wax, and the symbol of the fist holding a knotted piece of rope is the emblem of House Thistleburrows. Well, the symbol of Boswell Thistleburrows himself, not necessarily a house, because halflings don't have that. But I will allow you to... Do you want me to read it aloud, because there's nobody else really around you?
Sure.
It says, Friends and heroes, I fear Lord Ragni of the Gilvag stronghold is in a dark humor these days. In order to make use of the dwarven laborers he sent to Wyvern Falls to help rebuild the town, he is asking for assistance in a matter that seems dark. That's what it says. Unfortunately, that bill has come due. The goblins from the northern mountains have descended upon the dwarves of the slain basilisk from the western approach, and they need help in repelling their advances. They request a meeting with you, Engelard. Walzer is here. I'm sending him as well. The famed heroes of the Vale, in order to discuss tactics and strategy. Only a meeting. We are not committing you to anything just yet, but I ask you go as my personal emissary. This messenger will go to the dwarves after he's given you your message, and they will be then expecting you. And it says Boswell Thistleburrows in signature.
Yeah. All right.
You know that the goblins from the northern mountains are the ones that you encountered on the mountain top.
Well,
that long ago, that year ago.
I don't think he was
Wait,
with us when...
I wasn't with them, so I wouldn't.
Yeah.
The Walzer, you would remember that those are the goblins. That you
Yeah.
encountered.
Yeah.
I guess maybe I would have. Maybe Walzer would have told.
You know there's goblins there anyway because they procreate like rabbits, and they're always kind of an issue, but they're easy enough to dispatch.
Yeah. And you know, I'm pretty sure Engelard would have heard about my my fire that I started.
Well,
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Only if you told them about it.
Of course, I told him about it.
Of
It's
course.
Walzer we're talking about here.
All right, fine. Yeah.
Probably be only
It would be
90% exaggerated.
Yeah, only a minor.
Only a minor entire thing exaggerated beyond human belief.
To be fair, it was pretty
He
impressive.
blew up the mountain.
Yeah.
Okay. Got him.
Got him. Coach.
Yeah, but the goblins have been quite pestersome, especially lately. They've been kind of, they steal a sheep here or there, kind of occupying stretches of wood and basically, leaving, just kind of killing animals for the fun of it, taking bites out of them, leaving animal carcasses just around.
Wasteful.
Trash,
Yeah.
wasteful, exactly.
So insanity.
But
If you're gonna
anyway,
kill something, at least eat it. Jeez.
what do you do, if anything?
Well, obviously, if he's sending this to me specifically, then obviously something. This is actually this is obviously very important. So.
You're a very important man. They
Yes.
wouldn't bother you if it wasn't important.
Exactly.
He's one of the famed heroes of the Vale.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hero
So,
of
yeah,
the
I
Vale.
understand that if I'm being sent this specifically by Thistleburrow, that he really does trust me to actually go and do this. So I'm going to just immediately start making preparations to leave.
That entail what?
Well, obviously I would pack provisions, but also I would call maybe a minor meeting between other notable people in the town.
Okay.
And notify them of what's going to where I'm going to be going, so nobody's wondering, hey, where did Engelard go? I don't know. Maybe he fell off a mountain.
That sounds like him. No. How long do you tell them that you'll be gone?
Forever. Never coming back. You people smell funny.
How would I know how far of a distance it would be to get to where I'm going?
We got there in a day
Yeah,
previously.
less than a day,
Yeah.
especially on horseback.
So travel time's roughly a day. So
Actually, travel time to Thistleburrow's Manor would be roughly a day. It'd take about
Yeah.
half a day to get to the dwarves.
so
Are you trying to go back to Thistleburrow's?
No,
Okay.
I
So,
would
yeah,
be going to where he told me to go.
half a day to get to the stronghold.
Yeah, so I would notify them that where I'm going to is about half day's travel, and most likely, if I am not back within a few days, I would have sent word via a letter, most likely, to notify them when my return will be.
Okay.
And obviously, once I packed all my...
Go ahead.
No, what were you saying?
I was gonna say, what do you pack? But yeah, you were about to say
Well,
that.
yeah, mostly basic provisions, things like I guess enough food and water just in case something arises. Some change of clothes if needed. Bring along the old magic scrolls that I got all that long year ago.
All the spell books, the 2 spell books, and the rest of the scrolls.
Yes, because if I recall correctly, I have I would have
both of the spell books. You have Black's and Blackheart's spell book.
Yeah, man.
Would
You're,
I
like a powerful fucking wizard.
Yep, all the spells are one use now.
Yeah.
But
Right.
so I'd have
Creates an interesting kind of magic puzzle when they're only one use.
Yeah. I think that's the best way, to be honest. No more firing grease 7 times a day.
Anyway,
Anyways,
what else do you do? Do you set off on a horse, perhaps?
well, obviously I'm going to tell just tell my wife goodbye. I should be back. I should hopefully be back soon. I'll watch over our son. Make sure he doesn't do anything more stupid than a toddler normally would do.
Sure, fine. Okay.
And then once I'm sure everything is ready, I'm going to depart immediately.
Okay. That same day or next day?
That same day, assuming it's not past if it's like evening, then I would wait a day, obviously.
Okay.
But if it's like midday at latest, then I would still just end up going.
Gotcha.
It'll only take you half a day to get there, so...
Walzer,
Yeah.
what do you do, if anything? Essentially, you've followed this story unfold as it's happened, and so you know.
I probably would have
Oswald
left
told you this thing.
before, like maybe when Thistlebarrow was writing the note to Engelard, I probably would have been like, well, I'll just go there now.
Okay. Doing like some sort of combination of riding and gliding.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, probably.
Okay. Kind of going up on hilltops and then gliding off just because you can.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Awesome.
I'm trying to, like, part of what I've been doing with Pike is building up his stamina and his endurance for carrying riders. So a lot of that would be like stamina training, like sprinting in short spurts, and then, like, as you said, gliding as well, because he needs to be strong enough to be able to like hold a rider and glide at the same time. So that's what I'll be doing. Gotcha. Since there's no like, there is a rush to get there, but like, I'd expect at least a day or two before all the party members show up at the place. So I've definitely got the head start here. So
Sure. Okay.
That's what I'll be doing.
Fine.
Yeah.
When you get to Fort Mitchell, though, you run into a bit of a situation.
No, I would have expected as much.
A bunch of Guidos from Jersey Shore.
When you approach Fort Mitchell from the southern approach, as you have to go through there to get to the stronghold, unless you want to go through the Valley of the Thousand Statues, of course.
Well, if I have time, what's the quickest way? I guess the valley would be the quickest way, right?
Quickest way to go would be through the town, because it's pretty much a straight shot.
Oh, I'll go through the town then.
Okay. Well, the people, 2 guards, kind of bear their weapons when they see you and Pike approaching on Wyvern back.
Yep.
And they bar spears at you and like set to receive a charge. They're like, "Hold up right there, felon."
Felon. Do I recognize the guard? Do I recognize the guards at all?
Generic guard number 2.
Okay, so it's not the. Okay, so we're going in the opposite direction. I thought I meant. Yeah, sure. Because I thought this was Fort Mitchell, right?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so it's not like the old man who I've like paid multiple times to get through here.
No,
Okay.
different guy.
All right, yeah, sure.
He says, so this guy's got, kind of, as all the guards do, kind of mismatched armor and shoddy weapons. And he says, "You're not bringing that monster in here. Not past me, I say." And he kind of wags his spear at you.
I look at him and I say, "Do you know Thistle Burrows?"
"I know of him. What of it?"
Do you by chance know a man named Walzer?
"Heard of him. Heard the stories, just like anybody."
And then I just sort of like, so like spray my arms out like, and I sort of like gesture to myself, and I'm like, and I just wait for his response.
So he kind of looks, and he kind of snarls a little bit, and you see he kind of opens his eyes a little bit. He's like, "No, Walzer's 10 feet tall if he was an inch."
Yes, well, it seems that story has been slightly exaggerated. I'm only 8 feet tall.
Okay, they laugh, and they put they don't take their spears out, or they put them they kind of put them down on the ground, and they
You can come up and touch touch Pike if you want. I mean, he's a well-trained animal, and he won't harm unless I ask him to.
"Oh, really? Cool!" And they they come up and they look at him, and they touch him, and they pat him.
Part of the reason why I got barding on Pike is to make him seem more like a tamed animal.
Yeah, I get that.
So is that at all noticeable for the guards to notice this sort of thing?
Not these rubes.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
You guys are kind of jerks. And they say, "Wow, we'd be glad to let you in, and but you probably should let us come with you, because if you go through the town," and they kind of look, their eyes kind of dart back and forth suspiciously, and they're like, we don't want you to scare anybody.
Oh, of course. Whatever helps me get through the town easier. I'm on my way on a mission for Thistleburrow, so...
"Wow, secret mission."
Well, I guess.
He says, "Come on in." And they take you over to the door.
Yeah, alright. Yep.
Alright. You go through the door with the two guards, and they, the one guy who's been talking to you says, "Oh yeah, my name's, says, my name's Colbert, by the way. This is Hob." Says, and the other guy goes, "I'm Hob."
Colbert and Hob. Fine names.
Says, "Thanks." And they got their spears, and they're walking down. You see Fort Mitchell has not changed much in the year.
So there's still kids in the corner beating their dead horse.
Yeah,
it's a little more rotten now, but
you see a horse skeleton down one alleyway. You see kind of the infirm and the elderly sitting in the streets.
God, that joke is never gonna get old.
Somebody almost like throws a chamber pot over your head from a second-story window. And you get a little splash on you.
At this point, it's intentional. They wait until someone's walking through the city before they empty the chamber pots.
Yeah.
Every single time you describe the place.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see a man with no arms kind of walk by sadly. Everybody kind of looks. They're kind of staring at you, obviously, because there's a wyvern walking through town.
Yeah, I'm, doing that whole like pompous knight thing that people do, where they sort of.
I figured as much. Waving.
Yeah. Not so much waving, but like sort of just being like sitting upright and having like, puffing out your chest sort of thing. Yeah,
yep.
That kind of crap.
Okay, you get to a point. Let's see, Walzer, go ahead and make a check for me.
Okay. Lovely.
This is going to be trouble sense.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. What is my trouble sense? It
7?
is intuition, so 7.
So 1d20 plus 7 is going to be what it is now.
It didn't pass.
All right. You continue along the trail, nothing amiss. You think you're hot shit.
Yeah.
These two guys think you're hot shit as well. You look down the different avenues. You see squalor down that way. You see poverty down the other way. It's all very sad and depressing, but you look cool.
Well, as long as I look cool in this pile of shit, that's all that matters.
Yep. When you get near the end, there's a large inn that you've seen every single time you've come back and through this way.
Is this the leaky roof inn?
It can be, yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a 4-story building that kind of hangs out over the middle of the street. You know, it's kind of leaning, like it's gonna fall over at any second. But It never has. It always looks like that.
Oh, that's what happens when you build houses in piles of shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
When you walk by that way, though, a body nearly strikes you, kind of lands in front of you.
Like a dead body, like from
Dead
up, like it falls from a story.
Yep.
Okay.
Splat. And the two guys yelp, ah! Simultaneously, because they're the same person.
I turned to Colbart. I'm like, does this happen often?
Pay no mind to that, and they kind of just come around this way, and he kind of points to, because you're near the other gate, and he kind of points at the other guy.
I just want to have I want to glance at the body. I don't want to go investigate or anything, but is it like foul play? Like
it's a slight blonde woman who landed face first into mud.
Okay. Is she alive?
You want?
Does she like move?
She doesn't move or anything.
Does she? Yeah. I turn back to Cole and I'm like, I can wait here. Why don't you go see what's wrong with that lady over there?
They kind of look at each other. They kind of look up at the 4th story. They look back down at the ground. I think she fell.
Obviously. Aren't you going to investigate? You are a town guard, after all.
You haven't spent a lot of time here, have you?
Well, the times that I've come, it's always been a pleasure being here, but I normally just pass through. Yeah, is she hot?
The woman appears to be middle-aged.
Okay. So, maybe?
Thin-ish, yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
They kind of the two guys go over to her and they kind of turn her over onto her back, and it's very clear by the way her head moves that her neck has been snapped.
Lovely. I want to look on top of the roof. Is there anything obvious up there, like maybe a man standing over cackling menacingly or something like that?
No, nothing like that at all.
Okay. I sort of look up at the sun.
Yeah.
You know.
Nice day.
As like a way of checking the time. Because there's no watches right now, so it's not like I'm like looking at my watch or pulling out my phone to check the time or anything.
The sun is high in the sky.
All right, so it's about noon. Okay. And then I sort of call out to Colbert, and I'm like, well, I'll leave you gentlemen to this. The gate is right there. I'll be on my way.
And they say, no, wait for us. We'll take you there. And they come over and try to.
they just like abandon this body in the street.
They abandon the woman on the ground. And
okay.
He calls to the 2 guards that are standing near the other gate, and they say, hey Drew, go and take this one and put it on the pile.
Jesus.
And the 2 guards go.
Bring out your dead. Dung.
They start taking it to the east side of town. They begin walking in that direction with the body.
Okay.
And and you go all the way and to the other side and enter and exit. And they you hear the 2 guards speak to the other 2 guards on the other side of the gate when you begin to walk further down the road, and they say something to each other.
Any idea what it is?
Something about wyverns.
Okay, fair enough.
Anywho, you continue on your way, unabated.
Yep.
But perhaps a bit disturbed.
Kind of. Yeah, maybe.
Okay. Engelard.
Yes.
On your way, no problem. Like I said, half a day, a few hours down on your horse. What kind of horse did you take? There's kind of a bunch of choices.
Well, it wouldn't really matter so long as the horse would get me there and, not end up collapsing.
Sure, strong horse, stallion.
Yes. Yes.
A functional horse as opposed to a non-functional horse.
Yeah.
So yeah, just
It's a nice
any
day
horse.
for fighting.
Yeah.
The horse's name, just for those curious, is
Buttercup.
Oberon.
Oberon. Ooh, that's a good name for a horse.
Man, now you've used Oberon for a horse. Like, that's used now, man. You can't dip into your good names that quickly.
He has a table, no doubt, because I did hear a die roll, so...
He does have
they're
a
all
million
good
tables.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the name, that was a horse name generator. Different table.
Horse name generator!
Yeah, so Oberon the horse is a black horse, black stallion, and he's the best horse that you guys had.
How many hands are we talking?
What do you mean?
That's how you measure a horse. How many hands? High.
What's standard?
7
David
hands.
is just taking every possible opportunity to cram the fact that he was raised on a farm into every situation.
Well, I mean,
How many hands is it? Sorry.
Yeah. Get off my show, please. No.
Hey, Dave. Some amount of hands. Okay?
Some amount of hands. See, you said it's a stallion, right?
Yeah.
And you said it's not impressive.
More than average amount of hands.
Okay, so probably about 6 or 7.
But that's entirely beside the point and not important.
Well, I assume it has to be a big horse because
it's a nice horse. It's a nice horse.
Because fucking Engelard is a monster of a human being.
Yep, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he's scrawny. Engelard is scrawny and slight, and he's lanky beanpole.
Lanky beanpole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's got. Did you put your armor on, Engelard?
Oh yes, of course.
Okay. He's got some armor now.
Wait, what are you wearing as armor? Because I don't remember you wearing some before. You had leather, right?
He's bought some leather armor. Yeah.
Yeah, so I finished whatever. I basically filled out what I didn't have.
Yeah. I remember. Oh, that's right. No, that was destroyed in that battle.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So essentially, when you get to the part Engelard, you kind of know where to go. You've been there before. Perhaps on business, perhaps somewhere else. It's not that big a deal. You've been there before. When you get to the territory, that hill dwarven territory, which is on the east side of the road, it's about midday. When you begin to walk off, you travel along a crude path that's made through the grass. Just kind of crude directions, kind of marked on stones. Rock cliffs loom overhead. There's not really any trees at this point because the forest kind of loops around the hill country where the hill dwarf stronghold is. And eventually you see carved into a cliff face on your right side the symbol of a dwarven axe embedded in the neck of a reptilian creature and an arrow that points west. And so you kind of follow that arrow. Whatever.
Yeah.
A few minutes down the hill valley, there are a set of stone doors that are set in a rocky cliff face. You almost don't see it as it is camouflaged with green vines. However, its existence is doubly betrayed by a dwarf standing outside it, kind of leaning against the wall, kind of whistling a jaunty tune. He has his hands behind his back, and you actually recognize him. This is Bolvor, sixth son of the House of Daldum, who you've seen twice before now. He's blonde dreadlocks and a ponytail, and multiple braids in his beard. He's whistling, and he almost didn't see you approach, and then he starts a little bit and clears his throat. He says, "Welcome, emissary of Thistleburrows. Engelard, was it right?"
That's correct.
Of course. How could I forget? We've been expecting you. And then he kind of puts his hands on the doors. He takes his hammer out, and he kind of knocks on the door, bangs on it in a rhythm, dun 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 dun, and dun 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 dun, like And then, the doors then slide open, and he says, "Welcome to the Gilvag stronghold." And then we'll take a break.
Yeah. All right, guys, we'll be back in about 2 to 3 minutes. We're just going to take a break. Take this time to stretch your legs, get a drink, whatever, and we'll be back.
All right.